Hey guys, in today's video we're talking about iOS 12. I'm very excited for this software to have its first beta release. But before we get to that, I'm sure you guys are already noticing the new setup. If you're subscribed here to the channel, you know I had the white background, the white setup, everything was just Apple Store-like. I wanted to add more colors and things like that, so I have this second setup here in the studio. Let me know what you think about it. Should I stick with this? Should I go back to the all-white setup, or should I just alternate between the two? Because I do have both setups on right now, so I can also switch here to my left to the white table. But anyway, let me know what you think. Let's get back to the topic. iOS 12. When can we expect this software? What do we know so far? And what are some of the features that a lot of you guys are hoping for? Well, first, let's talk about its release date. Okay, so official release date, not beta. We're thinking September, late September, mid to late September is when Apple usually releases a major software, which coincides with the release of a next generation product, next generation iPhone or something like that. So we're far, far away from that. However, on June 6th, so we have 6 weeks till then, on June 4th through the 8th is WWDC this year. And on the first day, which is going to be the 4th, Apple usually introduces first beta of the next major software to be released for all the products. This year, HomePod, Apple Watch, iPhone, you name it, Apple TV, all that stuff. So this year, the first beta for iOS 12, we can expect that if Apple continues its tradition on June 4th. So 6 weeks from now, we'll see the first glance to iOS 12. So what we can expect with this software, let's talk about that. The first thing I want to talk about is Control Center. In my opinion, I think it still needs a little work in several areas. First off is the platters. Okay, so you have several toggles visible here, but you have to 3D touch to get some additional ones like AirPlay, Hotspot. And believe it or not, there's still people till this day that don't know where AirDrop went. I have to 3D touch on their devices and show them where it's at. Because remember, Apple brought 3D touch gestures to non-3D touch devices in order to accommodate these types of actions. So people don't know they have to long press their 3D touch and Control Center to invoke some of these other features. So people are still lost. I get this question every day. Where's AirDrop? Where's AirDrop? Whether it's a family member, a friend, on YouTube, on any social network, that is a little bit of an issue. I think Apple should stretch these a little bit and make it more visible, more clear to users. Because music, I understand music, yes, also needs a little bit of work here for the platter, but it's not as many toggles as it is here for the widgets. So just my opinion. Now on the iPhone X, I've always had to complain where you have to swipe from the top. You can't reach it one-handed to get the Control Center. It's a little bit annoying. It is a good spot to have it if you're talking about widespread UI control, okay? But if you're on the home screen and you just want to get to it, maybe a 3D touch gesture on settings can bring us to Control Center, at least on iPhone X, until we get something that's more concrete. Or maybe when we swipe up and hold, just have it so it appears with the cards, with the apps that are open. I've seen other concepts for the Control Center in iOS 12. Hopefully Apple can really target this area. Now for iOS 12, Apple should really reconsider the incoming phone call prompts and notifications within iOS. Of course, when you get a phone call, if you're on the home screen, you either have to dismiss it or answer it. You can't do anything else. You can't mute it and let it go in the background because it's just there, okay? So you can't really swipe it away. I've seen these other concepts that show a very clean user interface that really goes well with iOS, and I think Apple should really consider that, because just having a phone call right in the center of the screen and you just feel crippled because you can't do anything else. If you decline it, they know you decline it. If you mute it, you can mute it, but it's still there. You can't really use your phone. It's sort of annoying. I think it's time for Apple to really tackle incoming call notifications. How many of you have done this to a screenshot and accidentally you screenshot the volume hood right there, right in the center of the screen, because Apple keeps themselves from thinking that this is not a problem. Once again, here's another concept on how Apple can clean and streamline these types of prompts that are right in the center of the screen that won't affect, especially when you're going to take a screenshot. I've done that so many times where I take a screenshot and the volume hood appears in the center and it's just annoying. Apple, please fix that. Another major feature I think Apple should target is the camera. Okay, there's a few things here that we can talk about, starting with the lock screen. Right here where we have two things, camera button, and then we swipe to the left and camera as well. None use of space there. I mean, waste of time, waste of space. I think Apple should really target that particular section of the camera. That's number one. Number two, Apple has a campaign that's called Shot on iPhone. A lot of photographers, advanced photographers, use iPhone to demonstrate the capabilities of the phone, but you don't have a toggle to switch between different pro settings. I think Apple should add a pro setting to the camera because a lot of pro users use these cameras. Why would we have to go into settings, dig around, find the camera settings, and right here we can change the quality and the resolution and the frames and all that? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. I think Apple should really add a pro option for the cameras. Next up is dark mode, and this one is something I think Apple is taking the lazy way around it, or maybe the smart way around it. Well, here's my opinion. Dark mode is something that iOS users has wanted for quite some time. Apple added Smart Invert, which gives us some sort of a dark mode here, at least for settings that you can see here. It looks very, very nice. But Apple, what they've done instead is allow developers to change their applications to accommodate a dark mode, like YouTube has done it, Twitter has done it. Other developers have taken upon themselves to do a dark mode. And I think that's a good idea, but at the same time, a UI dark mode would be awesome. Smart Invert just really isn't that. A lot of users may want this dark mode, maybe for the dock, maybe for right here, the platters here, and Apple should just really go that extra mile with iOS 12. And last but not least, let's talk about the user interface. So this year is rumored that Apple won't be changing the user interface. What you're looking at here, the icons and everything, it's going to stay pretty much the same. There was plans to change it this year, but since iOS 11 was such a rough operating system for Apple, they decided to make iOS 12 a refined version of iOS 11, if you will. Of course, there's going to be a lot of new features, a lot of new things that are coming with iOS 12, but it's almost like going from Mac OS Sierra to High Sierra, okay? So it was a continuance, if you will, of the operating system refinement and polishing, although a lot of new features did get added. But I think it's a good idea. I think Apple can go one more year with this design, and next year, once everything is polished down, then we can change the UI and make it a little different. It is time for Apple to change it, but I'd rather them focus on performance, bug fixes, and make the software solid. Just give us a more solid operating system. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is compatibility. I know a lot of you guys with iPhone 5S users are thinking, is my device, the oldest iPhone here on the list, going to be supported by iOS 12? And I believe it is. I believe the iPhone 5S iOS 12 will be its last year's support, but I think it will be supported with iOS 12. We'll have to wait and see. Well, it'll be iPhone 5S, iPhone 6, 6S, 7, 8, and 10. And then, of course, all the Plus models and SE as well. So hopefully we get all that. We're 6 weeks away for the release of iOS 12. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. It's been iDevice Help, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.